sorry Loris. And that was the end of all he had planned. The honeymoon in New York, the new house he intended to purchase. Cradling a mug of coffee, he wandered into the front room and settled into his recliner. His faithful dog, Cy, who always knew when he was distraught, padded over and laid his heavy head on McQuede's knee. McQuede patted the shaggy yellow fur. Loris, always flighty and unpredictable, had been uncertain about the wedding from the beginning. Mattie had seen the signs, but he had foolishly ignored them. Maybe he had only himself to blame. "Guess from now on, it's just the two of us," he said. Cy whined. "I know. You'll miss her too." Even before the knock at the door sounded, Cy had sprung into action, sprinting to the door with loud, fierce barks. No one would be here this early except for Dawson, Cy's sworn enemy. McQuede half-dragged Cy to the back porch and shut the door between them. Sure enough, Dawson was standing outside, smiling like an old-time door-to-door salesman peddling some unwanted ware. He looked like a different man from the distinguished tuxedo-clad professor at the wedding. Wind-ruffled iron-gray hair added a carefree air to his aristocratic features, and he wore faded jeans and a heavy T-shirt. He waved a colorful pamphlet. "Do you have a few minutes?" McQuede led the way into the kitchen and poured Dawson a mug of coffee. "Why do you keep annoying me with that pamphlet?" The professor, with one of his superior smiles, gave the paper a final swish and set it down in front of McQuede. "See Captain Doug, Rapid River Rafting Tours." In the photo, Captain Doug smiled with a pirate's grin. He had heard of Doug Kemp, the owner of Rapid River Outpost, the last vestige of civilization, the south entryway to the rugged, isolated section of the Black Mountains. The captain, a man of questionable reputation, had for many years operated the rustic lodge and store on the edge of the wilderness, one suspected as being a front for many suspicious activities, from illegal hunting to smuggling to gun running. Like McQuede's nemesis, Ruger, Doug Kemp was the subject of many rumors, none proven as fact, yet. "River rafting? Since when did you take up dangerous sports?" "It's a means to an end," Dawson replied smugly. "You have to run the rapids a ways to get where I'm going." "And where might that be, besides Davy Jones' locker?" "Remember the old hunter I told you about, my friend Eli Ames, the one who'd said he'd spotted what might be an ancient Sheepeater trap way up in the mountains?" McQuede remembered how Loris and Arden Reed had discussed this very site, one they were planning to find. Loris had no doubt abandoned that plan too, flying with Reed back to Washington, D.C. to finalize her dream job in the Antiquities Department. "What do you know about that group of early Shoshone called the Sheepeaters?" Dawson asked. "Before my time, a century or two. Their sites, very rare, are mostly found in high, practically inaccessible areas." Dawson's eyes began to glow in a way that generally signaled a lecture. McQuede, using information he'd learned from Loris, beat him to it. "I know they were a shy, retiring people who lived mostly on the summit of the mountains. They shunned warfare and left their marks in the form of petroglyphs in cliffs and canyons." "Very good," Dawson said, then added, "but you haven't exactly captured the spirit of the Sheepeaters. Mystical, that's what they were. Their elusiveness prompted tales among the later Shoshone of magic. They were believed to have close association with the legendary Little People, who served as guides through their vision quests." Dawson settled back into his chair and, carefully leaving out any reference to Loris and her interest in the site, said, "Now that I'm acting head of the museum, I feel it's my duty to follow up on this lead. Eli Ames has spent years hunting and tracking in the high country.